What is up, duelists? Arsencrofts here, once again with your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format action. Today's feature match, we've got Dennis Hackman versus Matryoshka. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the Dueling Book GOAT format ladder at the time this match was played. Let's hop right into it. Matryoshka is going to take down the RPS, choose to go first. They are going to lead out with an Upstart Goblin into T-set pass, so not too much info given away. We'll see how Dennis can respond. We're going to get an Insta Trap Dust Shoot on draw, so Matryoshka will get a lot more intel into what Dennis Hackman is playing, which is pretty nice. We will take a peek as well. We see a hand of Sangan being the only Dust Shoot target, but then we see Pot and Upstart, which are two good cards to have into Dust Shoot, right? Because they're just essentially blanks. Dust Shoot of your own, which is pretty nice. You know Matryoshka can't really play around it because they'll draw up to 5 cards on their turn. And then Call of the Upstart, or Call of the Haunted, with no targets currently, and a Royal Decree. All right, so if you see this, my thought is generally you're going to be playing against some sort of like GOAT or Chaos Control list, because generally those are the sorts of decks that like to run Royal Decree. But for the most part, these are all just kind of staples, so not too much information, honestly, for Matryoshka to work with here. Of course, you're just going to spin back that Sangan and then hope Dennis doesn't draw anything good off of the Upstart or the Pot. All right, now Dennis here, you're going to lead off probably with Pot into Upstart. Yep, so getting 3 brand new cards that Matryoshka is not aware of, and you're going to set a couple back row and then normal summon an Abyss Soldier. So yeah, definitely most likely some sort of Go Control list here. That's generally who likes to play Abyss Soldier. And we're getting a little bit aggressive here. We're going to go discard Sinister Serpent. Wow, so drew Abyss and Sinister off of the Pot Upstart. That's insane. Such a good draw. And now you can bounce Matryoshka's set monster and start beating in for 1800 and put them back very significantly in terms of tempo without even, needing to go down in cards to use the Abyss Soldier effect because you found that Sinister Serpent. So despite getting Dust Shooted, really awesome opening here for Dennis Hackman. And yeah, Matryoshka very much on the back foot here right out of the gate. And now we know Dennis has a Trap Dust Shoot of their own to get a hint at what Matryoshka is playing. So we're going to see that come out. Not too surprising. Looks like they are running... Ooh, so we see Dekoichi, Tribe, Knock, Premature, Morphing Jar, Book of Moon. So is this like Go Control versus Chaos Control, or maybe just a pure Go Control mirror? That could be pretty interesting. We would be in for a long one, of course, but that definitely happens sometimes here in GOAT format. So a few options to choose between. Morphing Jar is pretty good when you've played most of your hand already. We actually see Dennis is also running Morphing Jar of their own. So the 3 cards they drew off the Upstart Pot were Abyss Soldier, Sinister Serpent, and Morphing Jar. Sheesh. And so yeah, okay. I guess the Tribe is interesting considering... Well, so I guess Tribe is pretty good into Abyss Soldier because you'd have to call Aqua and then it would kill the Tribe itself. And they don't have any discard fodder for it, so Tribe is pretty bad at this point in time. Morphing Jar is something you want to resolve, considering you have so many of you've already played so many cards. And so then yeah, the only remaining option is Dekoichi, so sending it back there I think makes total sense. And then you have to worry about Book of Moon. You can play around Nobleman of Crossout, and then Premature Burial is something else that you might want to save some back row removal for if you have some available. Yeah, Dekoichi will get shuffled back. And then Matryoshka gonna go Book of Moon for the Abyss Soldier. So I guess the idea is instead of using the Tribe effect to kill Abyss Soldier, because that of course would kill the Tribe itself, we're gonna book it, summon Tribe, and beat over it. Or are we gonna go? Don't tell me we're gonna book and then knock. That's so card advantage negative. Seems pretty risky. We're gonna do it though. Wow. Okay. So yeah, just really wanting to prioritize breaking up that Serpent plus Abyss Soldier combo. And using 2 cards to do it. So really, really good spot here for Dennis. Having not really done too much, and they're already up a bunch of cards, just with the threat of Abyss Soldier sticking around. Not a card you always see in GOAT format, is certainly playable. So it's cool seeing it, get tons of value here. Matryoshka, of course, has... I guess it's fine to 2-for-1 yourself to deal with the Abyss Soldier. if your plan is to resolve a Morphing Jar, right? Because then at least, you've used some cards and can, recuperate the lost ones. So Dennis, if you're definitely going to be expecting the set to be Morphing Jar here. So we'll see if you have any ways of playing around it. Could just be set everything and then trigger it on your own terms. No, we're just going to go, so we're going to go set probably that Morphing Jar we knew about, set a back row, and then I guess basically if Matryoshka flips Morphing Jar, it's pretty much even. Both of you go +4/+4. Not grabbing the Sinister, I guess that's kind of fine. I mean, you probably should just grab it. I guess that would have played into Trap Dust Shoot. So yeah, maybe not grabbing Sinister here is fine. Just to not play into Trap Dust Shoot so you can set your own Morphing Jar is maybe the idea. We'll see what Matryoshka chooses to do here, though. They are going to go normal summon that Tribe Infecting Virus. We're going to go flip summon Morphing Jar. That will resolve. Okay, so Dennis setting an unknown monster, not their Morphing Jar. And they will just discard that and draw 5. So both players totally fine with this scenario, I think. Both have 3 cards on the field, so we're going to be equal in card advantage at this point. And both players will have a Sinister Serpent engraved, so that's equalized as well. So, yeah. Very rarely do you see a Morphing Jar resolve and the game state be pretty much equal afterwards, but that is actually what's happening here. Both players are just going to fully reload and go back up to 5 cards in hand. So, pretty interesting stuff here. We're going to go attack in with this tribe. It's going to kill a Magician of Faith with a Pot of Greed engraved, so Dennis can be able to recur some Trinity, which is pretty nice for them. The Morphing Jar can get in for 700. Sure. First blood here on Dennis. Duelingbook Duo is quite nice, holding it till after attacking so that you can snipe potentially whatever they grab off the Faith, if it was a Faith. So I like the sequencing there. Let's see what they snag. And it's good to use it now. You kind of are forced to, because otherwise Sinister Serpent will just be grabbed from Dennis, and you will never probably get a good chance to use Duo again for a while at least. It hits a Gravekeeper Spy. Okay. So Dennis getting Light Dark Engrave is pretty interesting. Turning on Chaos, and then they will be forced to discard another card. Choosing a Tribe Infecting Virus, which kind of like running into Abyss Soldier is also not good into your opponent's Tribe Infecting Virus for the same exact reason. So pitching it there I think makes complete sense. So yeah, good duo there out of Matryoshka, but Dennis will be able to recoup that lost card advantage with the Pot of Greed, which was safe from the duo here. And Matryoshka gonna set a couple back row pass. We're gonna end phase Royal Decree though, which we knew Dennis was running, but Matryoshka probably did not. So potential virtual card advantage here, locking Matryoshka into being unable to use a lot of their back row, which could be a pretty nice swing. Now Dennis can resolve Pot of Greed. And yeah, just going up a ton of cards here. Royal Decree probably doing a lot here. I guess we know the other set is Call of the Haunted. Most likely. I think it has to be. With really only Tribe as the target, so I guess that's fine. You don't really care about it getting negated. Just gonna go set a monster pass, so playing it kind of slow, but you're up a few cards, so no reason to really rush anything. Matryoshka, gonna recur that Sinister Serpent. At that point, Dennis probably should start re-grabbing their Serpent. Seems like they're forgetting it, but is what it is. And then they are going to go normal summon Breaker. Probably pop the Royal Decree is the idea. Yep, so that'll hit the grave. Turning Dennis's Call of the Haunted on, but presumably also turning on a bunch of Matryoshka's back row. So totally fine play. Oh, it unlocks a Jar of Greed, which is pretty nice. So going to be able to draw a card. And then Tribe will attack this set, which is a Cyber Jar. Wow, so Dennis playing both of the jars here. Pretty cool. And we're going to blow up this entire board on Matryoshka's side of the field, which isn't the end of the world because most of them have already gotten you advantage if you're Matryoshka. But we're going to spin some jars again and see if both players end up with anything cool. Wow, okay, so Dennis finding Jinzo and BOS which will have to go to hand, as well as a duo, which will definitely get some value against Matryoshka next turn, although they do still have Sinister Serpent in hand. Upstart is nice as well. And Sangan will be able to hit the field. You're probably setting it, but I guess we'll see. And you can always threaten to go tribute Sangan, summon Jinzo on your next turn. And notably, Chaos is live here as well, with Faith acting as the light, and your choice of Cyber Jar or Gravekeeper Spy is the dark. So pretty good Cyber Jar spin here for Dennis. We'll see if Matryoshka fares equally well. Interesting. So they get doubled Koichi, Snatch Steal, DD Warrior Lady, and a Zaborg, which will go to hand. Okay. So you probably are just going to set all three of these guys so that your opponent doesn't know which is the DD Warrior Lady, I guess is the idea. Dissuade them from attacking potentially. Or you could go attack mode DD Warrior Lady, set the two Dekoichis just to get in for 1500 because it is still your battle phase. That's something I forgot about, but yeah, so probably you go attack position DD Warrior Lady just to go for a little bit more damage, and then you have the two Dekoichis side by side. And because you know Dennis's only monster is going to be Sangan, yeah, you have the perfect DD Warrior Lady attack into Sangan, banish both of them play, which is pretty nice way to deal with the Sangan, prevent any tribute for Jinzo plays. Yeah. So I would like attack mode DD Warrior Lady here, but we'll see. Both players just continuing to resolve the Cyber Jar. We'll get Sangan set. Matryoshka, yeah, really the only call is, are you going to go attack position DD Warrior Lady or defense position DD Warrior Lady? Looks like we're going to go attack position. I think that makes sense. Crash into the Sangan, banish both of them. All good. Yes. Now, annoyingly, part of you might want to save the DD Warrior Lady to answer the BLS that you know your opponent has, but if you have another out to it, which you likely do, especially like including Snatch Steal, I think it's fine using DD Warrior Lady for a still very valuable thing, dealing with the Sangan for free. I'm just going to pass there, adding no back row to the field, but has the two set Dekoichis and is no longer under Royal Decree. So potential lots of outs to the BLS that Dennis could play if they so choose. Dennis with a very full group of cards. This is 10 cards in hand. Pretty insane. So lots of stuff here. They can even grab the Sinister Serpent if they remember, which you might as well. No reason not to. Yeah, so I'm going to grab that Serpent. Makes sense. You're going to use that known Call of the Haunted. You can go ahead and, I guess, grab... I mean, you could just grab anything and then go Tribute for Jinzo, is maybe the plan. They're going to revive Gravekeeper Spy. Tribute for... Oh, we're going to Tribute for Zaborg. So Dennis running Zaborg of their own. We know Matryoshka has one in hand. But Zaborg coming through is a pretty nice out to one of these Dekoichis. Just gonna get the nice, prevent them from cycling. Getting a Dark Engrave doesn't matter because they already have the Breaker. So yeah, nice play to get aggressive. And then we can MST one of the back row. Okay. Yeah, Call Bondage should stay there. MST is going to hit a Metamorphosis. Okay. Which was, I would say, bluff set, but it's more like set to get out of the way of the Morphing Jar that you were going to try to resolve. So just setting it there to get it out of the hand so it won't get discarded. That's why you see that there. Dennis just popping with that MST, though, so not going to be able to come through and summon out any nasty fusion monsters for Matryoshka. But at least good to know that knowledge is there. Mind Control in the main deck here for Dennis Hackman as well. Not something you see every day. And, I guess it's totally fun when you know that your target is Dekoichi, right? So going to be able to prevent Matryoshka from getting both of these Dekoichis to resolve, which is pretty nice. Gonna get to draw another card off this Dekoichi. We're just gonna go ahead and summon BLS as well. I'm gonna say, okay, I don't care about Torrential, I don't care about Mirror Force. Let me just go in for big damage, as this 5,400 right here would drop Matryoshka all the way down to 800 if both of these attacks connected. And we're gonna Delinquent Duo here just for a little bit more knowledge. You think you would probably just do that before the BLS? And, well, notably, Matryoshka has a Sinister Serpent in hand, so this is not going to be a full value duo. So, interesting choice there, but I guess there is a way you could get some good value here, potentially. Hitting Snatch Steal would be nice, of course, as well. It's a Dark Magician of Chaos, wow. So, both players playing some pretty slow but interesting control lists here. And honestly, Demok hitting the grave from Matryoshka is probably totally fine, because you're just going to want to revive it with like a Call of the Haunted or a Premature Burial later. Yeah. Going to discard that Serpent, of course, as well, negating the value of the duo. So pretty low value Delinquent Duo there for Dennis Hackman. You basically paid 1,000 life points and discarded a card to dump a Resurrection target in Matryoshka's grave. So unfortunate usage there. Definitely could have held it to at least play around the Sinister Serpent, but choosing it to fire it off there for very little gain. We'll see if that comes back to bite them. Zaborg can now get in for some damage. Yeah, so we are just going to be able to connect in with the BLS and the Zaborg. So making the call that they just don't have Mirror Force, which is definitely a thing. And then you're going to drop Matryoshka all the way to 800. with a bajillion cards in hand, they just were able to play much better after the Cyberjar resolution because they got to take the first full turn after it, which is when Cyberjar is at its most advantageous, and they could just clean up all Matryoshka's entire board with Saborg, Minecon, and then BLS, and then get in for a ton of damage. Matryoshka we know has Snatch Seal in hand, which can deal with this board pretty nicely. But besides that, it's going to look kind of tough, if I had to guess. And then Dennis is going to have to set a couple back row. Totally fine. And the Dekoichi, of course, goes back to Matryoshka's side of the field. That will not be enough to get them back in this game, though, most likely. Gonna go grab that Sinister Serpent. Let's see. We're gonna go play that Snatch Steal that Dennis knew about. We'll see if they have any back row removal. No, that's gonna resolve. So Dennis letting the BLS go over to Matryoshka's side, summoning it out just for the damage, knowing that they didn't have an out to the known Snatch Steal is a little bit interesting. But maybe you're hoping that just dropping your opponent to 800 will be enough for you to just kill them at some point. You know, Ring of Destruction at this point is lethal amongst just like getting in for pretty minimal damage. Matryoshka going to play around potential Mirror Force by turning this Dekoichi to defense position. But we're just going to go ahead and BLS banish the Zaborg anyway. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because you want to... You know, Dennis has already summoned the BLS, but they could maybe be on Chaos Sorcerer. You're not sure. So I guess getting the light out of... Or preventing the light from going to the grave is pretty nice. And then we're going to go set a monster, set a back row pass, with BLS sticking around on Matryoshka's side of the field, threatening to apply some more pressure. Dennis, opponent's at 800 life. You get to gain 1,000 off the Snatch Steal. Got Heavy Storm here, which is quite a nice way to get your BLS back, and it's not lethal, right, because you got two monsters blocking, but a single other monster could potentially be lethal, depending on what the set monster is. And yeah, Heavy's going to come out. It's going to hit a Premature Burial, which was dead, a Ring of Destruction, which was dead, but most importantly, it's going to hit that Snatch Steal, and Dennis is going to get their BLS back. Dennis choosing not to chain anything here to the Heavy Storm, and I guess opting not to use their Upstart Goblin because they wanted to keep Matryoshka at such low life, which is definitely a choice. I mean, 1800 is pretty big for Turbo to deal in one turn with one monster, which is probably what you're going to be able to attack with here. So I think that makes sense, just not using the Upstart. Especially when you're already up some cards, you can afford to lose an extra card off of the Heavy to keep the potential to kill your opponent this turn. I think that's fine. We're just going to go ahead BLS banish the set monster. Hits a Magician of Faith, which is nice, because there were a lot of juicy targets in Grave. In which case, if you were not going to try and go for game this turn, I feel like you should have just used your Upstart before Heavying, because that 1,000 life doesn't really mean much. But like I was saying, Dennis in a pretty solid spot here anyway, so it might not matter. But if you want to min-max, I definitely would probably have used that Upstart there. Oh, okay, never mind. We're going to go Tsukuyomi, reset the BLS, and so the extra 1,000 didn't end up really mattering, but I guess if you had game with BLS plus Suk, totally fine. So yeah, the play there is you get your BLS back, you can use its effect to banish the set monster, which is the more risky one because it could be like a Night Assailant or something that you don't want to attack into. And then you have Tsukuyomi to set the BLS, flip it face up, resetting all of its effects because it's like a new card essentially. And then you can go attack over the Dekoichi and then trigger BLS's second effect to attack directly for game. So game one here to Dennis Hackman, just being able to, like I was saying, exploit all of the new additional cards that they got off of the Morphing and Cyber Jars a little bit better. They are kind of RNG heavy cards, but your decks, especially if you're the one playing them, you can set them up to be a little bit stronger when they resolve compared to an opponent who might not be ready for it. And Dennis being able to use all of those new cards to really good effect there to just kind of, you know, answer Matryoshka's board state and then slam some threats and take it from there. Game 2, though, Matryoshka will be able to go first here in what looks like potentially a, like, go control mirror, which you don't see every day, but is pretty interesting. Matryoshka here is going to start out with a set monster again, so not opening any Trinity for the second game in a row. We'll see if Dennis has a little bit more of a high roll hand. Opening Pot of Greed, right on cue. So going up a card right at the beginning. And we're going to go Mystic Tomato Creature Swap, a classic 2-card combo. The importance here is that when Mystic Tomato and other recruiters like this are killed, the owner of the card, where, you know, whoever controls the graveyard that the tomato is going to end up going to, which in this case would be Dennis, is the one who gets the effect, not the player whose side it was when it was killed on field. So really strong play here. Tomato, of course, really common card played in Abyss Soldier decks, which we know Dennis Hackman is running, because you can go Mystic Tomato, search for Sangan, Sangan, search for Sinister Serpent to enable your Abyss Soldier. And now you're going to be able to steal your opponent's set monster, which is just a Sangan. Okay, so you're going to... I mean, I guess that's actually fine. So Matryoshka kind of winning this exchange, most likely, because just like how Tomato will trigger for Hackman when it's killed, Sangan will trigger for Matryoshka when it's killed. So you actually... Matryoshka totally fine to give Dennis that Sangan, and Dennis basically just paid a whole card for that privilege, and their normal summon. So yeah, slight advantage here to Matryoshka early, with just a suboptimal creature swap here early from Dennis Hackman. Dennis just going to set a card pass. Matryoshka here in a decent spot. You can just beat over the Sangan and get the search off. It's not a bad play. We're going to go DD Warrior Lady here as well. Interesting. So we're going to go Sangan, or Mystic Tomato, kill the Sangan, get the Sangan search off, and then DD Warrior Lady gets in for 15. We're going to... Ooh, but Dennis has the Scapegoat here, so yeah, we didn't see any of the Goat's meta stuff out of them last game, but now we see Creature Swap plus Scapegoat already. And we're going to use Scapegoat here just to kind of wall out some damage. Maybe they have a Metamorphosis in hand to, go for Thousand Eyes, start sucking some stuff in. Totally fine. Yeah, good play would be meta Thousand Eyes, steal the DD Warrior Lady, kill the Tomato, get the Tomato search, for example. Matryoshka should be searching for their Sangan here, by the way. So I hope they don't forget that. They're just forgetting the Sangan search, I guess, which is a little bit unfortunate. We'll see if that comes back to bite them. I mean, presumably you have some targets in your deck, right? That's why you're playing Sangan. Unless your only target was DD Warrior Lady, but that seems unlikely. I guess we know you're on Sinister Serpent as well, but maybe that could be in hand. Dennis here going to draw for a turn, and then going to go out with that Metamorphosis, which totally makes sense, like I was saying. Yeah, I'm going to go and summon out a Thousand Eyes Restrict, suck in that DD Warrior Lady, but we've got the Book of Moon out of Matryoshka to just set it and keep all their stuff on board. So going to prevent the suck DD Warrior Lady, kill Tomato, get the Tomato search play that I talked about before. And Matryoshka can now just go ahead and beat over this Thousand Eyes with their monsters here, assuming they're allowed to live. Oh, but we are going to go ahead and go Tribute Summon the Thousand Eyes for Zaborg, so totally fine with that play. You should... Yeah, unfortunately, so little Dueling Book hack. You can, because Goat format, you're assumed to have... There's no, fusion deck limit. You're assumed to just have 3 copies of every fusion. You can just go and add stuff to your fusion deck mid-game if you need it, but you can only do that if you've actually at least put 1 monster into your fusion deck before the game started here. So Dennis not doing that, and so they don't have the ability to add the Thousand Eyes, which is a little bit suspect when you're playing a Go control list, by the way, but perhaps they just didn't know that. And now you kind of annoyingly have to keep track that Dennis should have a Dark Engrave, and Matryoshka should only have the Sangan Engrave. So hopefully the players can keep track of that. Zaborg here coming through is a pretty nice follow-up play to your Thousand Eyes getting booked. And you can go ahead and pop that DD Warrior Lady, which is a nice defensive way to deal with the Zaborg, so you just want to get rid of that. You can beat over the Tomato and get the Tomato search. So pretty nice. Yeah, gonna get in for some damage. Gonna be able to search up another Tomato if you want to get in for 14. We're gonna go for Spirit Reaper. Ooh, this is a really nice play. Spirit Reaper is gonna be able to connect for 300 and rip out a card out of Matryoshka's hand. All right. So yeah, hit for 300. You rip out a Mirror Force too, which is really good to know about. And yeah, Matryoshka could have, if they remember their Sangan search, could have gotten a Sinister Serpent, which could have maybe helped protect against the Spirit Reaper, perhaps. But a really, really nice turn here from Dennis. Bouncing back after the early creature swap sort of fumble there. But going for this nice little Zaborg, beat over the creature swap Tomato. And then Tomato summon out Spirit Reaper to go in plus an extra card. So really nice here out of Dennis. Now, one thing I did want to point out is keeping in creature swap post side against scope control is actually super duper risky because it's really bad, specifically when your opponent has scapegoat that they could chain to your creature swap. Dennis found an opportunity to use it when Matryoshka didn't have any back row, so they weren't risking that scapegoat chain play. But in general, there's not going to be a lot of times where you're playing against a control list and you'll have a good time to run creature swap. So a little bit surprised that it made the cut post side. But depending on the list, maybe it does. But yeah, Dennis very much in a solid position here, ripping out tons of cards from Matryoshka's hand. Zaborg and Spirit Reaper continuing to apply pressure and looking really good for Dennis Hackman here. Matryoshka draws into Pot of Greed, though, which is pretty nice. So getting back the card that was ripped away by the Spirit Reaper. They're going to go Premature Burial. Can go for that DD Warrior Lady to deal with the Zaborg, perhaps. Also a potential out to the Spirit Reaper. Let's see, we're going to go, yes, we're going to go attack over the Spirit Reaper. Hit them for 12. And then they're both going to get banished. Okay, so worrying more about the card advantage threat of the Spirit Reaper than the damage threat out of the Zaborg. So kind of an interesting play there. But I guess definitely makes sense. You do have a good amount of life, so you can afford to take a hit or two from the Zaborg before you really have to go into panic mode. So prioritizing the Spirit Reaper if you have no other routes to it makes sense to me. And then we're going to go set a monster pass, get something in the way of this Zaborg, but no back row here, so Dennis could potentially push a lot of damage through this turn if they have like a Nobleman or something. Yeah, never used. Yeah, so catching now. Yeah, unfortunately, should have done that before. Said they could have protected better against that Sinister Serpent, but it is a mandatory effect, so just grabbing it now, I guess, is fine. And glad that the players caught it eventually, even though it could have helped out Matryoshka before, but that's why you got to remember your triggers, right, guys? So Dennis here, we're going to go set a monster. You want to get stuff out of your hand here because you know Matryoshka is playing at least Morphing Jar, so playing some stuff in main phase 1 is a little bit unintuitive to a lot of players, but when you know that there's a Morphing Jar you might have to worry about, definitely makes sense. Now, Morphing Jar in this scenario would be pretty bad for Matryoshka if it resolved, though, because you actually have more cards in hand than your opponent. So I'm going to hope for Matryoshka's sake that this is not a set Morphing Jar, but maybe it is. So we're going to attack in. It is just a Magician of Faith with the Pot of Greed engraved. So Matryoshka slowly grinding out some advantage here. Going to resolve a second pot per game. Will be pretty nice. Lot of threats coming in out of Dennis here, but you're not out of it just yet. Let's see. Yeah, going to resolve that pot. And now Matryoshka is suddenly in a very good position. Double Pot of Greed can definitely do that for sure. Right. They're going to go set a monster and then go Metamorphosis. So using that Sinister Serpent that they got off the Sangan. Pretty nice. Now, notably, Matryoshka does have Chaos Live, even if you do ignore the Thousand Eyes, which we should be. Because you do have Faith plus Sangan and Grave now. But meta's going to go into Thousand Eyes Restrict. You can go... You have a couple options here. If you want to go most aggressive, you could steal the Zaborg and get a 2400 beater. Or if you want to be more conservative, you could steal the set monster in case it's like a Magician of Faith or something, because there are some good stuff in Grave for Dennis to grab back. So we'll see what Matryoshka chooses to do. They're going to go grab the Zaborg, so going offensive, but just as Matryoshka had the Book of Moon for Dennis's Thousand Eyes a couple turns ago, Dennis has a Book of Moon of their own here to answer their opponent's Thousand Eyes, and their Zaborg will live to see another day. We're just going to get Nobleman of Cross out here, out of Matryoshka to deal with that set monster. It is a Magician of Faith, so yeah, really nice that they had that out to it. Otherwise, Pot of Greed was definitely going to be coming through, most likely. And now both players will no longer have access to Magician of Faith for the rest of the game, unless they got multiple copies in hand or something. Which Matryoshka only having the one engrave here makes me think they might have either one on the board or well, no, we know that's the Thousand Eyes, never mind. But they might have one in hand, right? Because I would be surprised if this Go control list was only playing one Magician of Faith. Either way, though, Dennis Hackman, their Zaborg is still sticking around. It can go ahead and beat over this Thousand Eyes. This has been a really back and forth game, super intricate. Matryoshka being able to resolve a couple of Pot of Greed so far this game, but besides that has just been slowly getting ground away by Dennis. So we find ourselves in a pretty even game state at this point, despite some fireworks from both sides. But yeah, and Zaborg here is just going to go attack over that Thousand Eyes. Totally fine. And then main phase 2, oh, we're just going to pass. So just the Zaborg here on their board and a couple goat tokens to protect the life points. But opportunity for Matryoshka here to make some stuff happen. Go grab that Sinister and stand by. Totally. And if you can answer the Zaborg, Matryoshka's looking really, really good here. Graceful Charity is really strong when you have that Sinister in hand, especially, so you can plus off of it. We're going to discard Sinister and a Morphing Jar. Definitely don't want to be using Morphing Jar when you're the one who's up cards, so just making sure that that's not going to be an issue. Totally fine. And we're going to go T-set pass. Cool. So continuing. Now, like I was saying before, there is actually a decent chance that Dennis has to worry about another Magician of Faith here, considering they didn't have to banish any off of that knock. So if I was Dennis, I'd be actually a little bit worried that this is Faith, and I'm going to hope I have an answer to it, pretty much. We're just going to crash right in with the Zaborg, though. It is a Magician of Faith, and Matryoshka is going to regrab that Graceful Charity, which they can combo with their Sinister Serpent again. And now things are looking really, really good for Matryoshka here. Just up so many cards thanks to all of their Faith recurring Trinity shenanigans out here. 2 pots, 2 Graceful plus Sinisters. If they don't win this game, then that's going to be really, really unlucky, I would say. Then it's just going to set a back row here. But Matryoshka, yeah, grab that Sinister, go main phase 1 Graceful Charity. See what else we can draw into. We're going to discard that Serpent, of course, and then a Zaborg. Okay. I guess doesn't really have any way of summoning it anytime soon. Shouldn't that make sense? We're going to go Snatch Steal on your opponent's Zaborg again. So, second time this game, Matryoshka has tried to steal this Zaborg. We'll see if it resolves. It will, and we're going to get Tsukuyomi here to fully, complete the takeover by making it unattached to Snatch Steal. Nice little 1-2 combo. This is really dangerous and going to start applying a ton of pressure if this resolves. Dennis allows it. We're going to go flip summon Zaborg, and Suk and Zaborg can clear out these 2 tokens. And now Dennis has no board presence to their name, really, to speak of. And Matryoshka can continue to apply pressure with the Zaborg and the Tsukuyomi in the future if they so choose. Dennis here, back against the wall, just going to set a back row pass. Yeah, Matryoshka in full command at this point can grab that Sinister again, up a million cards. Just going to get in for 24, playing around Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute by not summoning that Tsukuyomi. Now, Dennis Hackman is running Royal Decree, but generally Decree decks will also run a couple of the staple traps like Ring and Torrential and Mirror Force. So just because Dennis is a Decree deck doesn't mean that you don't have to worry about Mirror Force. Just playing around it, I think, is fine here. 2,400 damage, ain't too bad. Let's see. Oh, Dennis does have another copy of Scapegoat here to start walling some stuff out, though. So able to protect their life points, but still slowly going behind in card advantage. So Matryoshka, you're probably fine with this. Ooh, and we're just going to get main phase 2 normal summon Tribe. So Matryoshka, smartly maybe expecting this, not going for the normal summon Tsukuyomi to get in for the extra damage, and is instead saving their normal summon so that they could go main phase 2 Tribe to answer these Go tokens if their opponent went for that sort of play. And you have the Sinister back in hand here to get the free discard as well. Wow, so really nice. Going to blow up all of Dennis's board. Pass with 2 big monsters here, bearing down on Dennis. And yeah, just really taking control of this game thanks to all those Magician of Faith activations. You can see why it's such a strong card in the format. Let's see, Dennis does have Heavy Storm, so potentially looking to make some sort of last stand sort of play. Want to use Heavy Storm to just clear out the back row and make it more likely that your play is resolved. It's a Scapegoat, which Matryoshka could not have chained anyway because they had 2 monsters on board. And now the back row is clear for Dennis to make some plays. They do not have Chaos Live, no Lights Engrave, but maybe like Snatch Steal would be good, for example. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to go Snatch Steal. We're going to steal the Tribe Infecting Virus, which is interesting. I guess the idea is you can blow up the Zaborg and get a Light Engrave to turn on Chaos, and then attack in for a bunch of damage. And you haven't used your normal summon this turn, so actually Tribe, kill Zaborg, summon BLS, and then that's 1,300 damage to game. So like normal summon to Koichi or something, or Abyss Soldier would be game. Would that be cool to see? I'm going to discard Dark Magician of Chaos, so both players on the DMOC technology too. Pretty interesting matchup. But we're going to get Tribe, discard DMOC, pop the Zaborg, get a Light Engrave. No, we're just going to go attacking for 16, so not doing the cool play. But you're at least able to get Chaos online. You get a DMOC Engrave here as well to potentially go for some premature burial or call it the Haunted shenanigans. But I thought the Heavy Storm was going to do something a little bit cooler, unfortunately. And so Dennis, this was a nice play. You were able to answer Matryoshka's stuff. But they just have so many more cards than you at this point that this doesn't seem like the strongest play. But you got to do what you got to do. Matryoshka can go ahead, gain 1k, grab that Sinister. All good. Dennis waiting till the Sinister is grabbed before using Trap Dust Shoot, which is totally fine. Let's see what both players are rocking. We see a giant Trunade in Dennis Hackman's hand, which I guess can be a little cheeky sometimes when you're running Premature Burial. Although not a card that you often see in control decks, but I don't hate it. Matryoshka here has known Sinister Serpent, known Tsukuyomi, and then besides that we've got Creature Swap, Knock, Meta, Torrential Tribute, and a Spirit Reaper. So some good stuff here. Now, interestingly, once again, both players, I guess Matryoshka didn't see any scapegoats out of Dennis in the first game, but based on what they were playing, like the Abyss Soldiers and stuff, you have to assume they're playing Goat Control. So both players keeping in Creature Swap post-side against a Goat deck is a little bit suspicious, but like I said, I don't know the 55s that these people are playing, so sometimes it could make the cut. And yeah, Dennis has a lot of options of what to put back here. Tsukuyomi most obviously deals with your tribe. So does Sinister plus Meta, so you could maybe go for that play. There's also like Tsukuyomi plus Creature Swap is annoying. Sinister Serpent plus Creature Swap is also annoying. Spirit Reaper is not super duper annoying right now. So I guess the choice is probably between Suk and Sinister. And I guess Thousand Eyes is probably the most annoying card for you to deal with at the moment. So you probably just send back the Sinister because sure, they'll kill your tribe with the Suk, but they were going to do that anyway. Or they could go for the Creature Swap play, but they could have done that anyway. But at least it blanks their Metamorphosis for now. So it's kind of like answering two cards at once, whereas the Suk kind of just deals with the Suk and still keeps Meta and Creature Swap live. So yeah, I would probably send back the Serpent. I think that's probably the play. And that is what Dennis is going to choose to do. Definitely agree. And now Matryoshka can just go ahead and Tsukuyomi plus Creature Swap probably, or Tsukuyomi just kill the tribe, but I guess you'd probably rather have your tribe back, right? We'll see then. We're going to go Tsukuyomi, set back the tribe. Yeah, so not going to go for the Creature Swap play, just going to kill the Suk. That's totally fine, you just get the straight +1. Yeah, you can say Creature Swap for later, I guess. When you're up this many cards, I don't think it really matters too much. And Tribe's just going to hit the grave, and then you can set some stuff past turn. Cool. So Dennis, you got 2 cards to your name. You got you do have Chaos Live. You got a Demok Engrave, so some potential for explosive plays here if you can get something to land. Matryoshka just has the 1 back row set, which you probably know is Torrential Tribute. So you also have to play around that. You got to think about. Just gonna go pass, and now Matryoshka can continue to clock them. We could go set Dekoichi, for example, wouldn't be too bad. Or yeah, normal summon Spirit Reaper is fine as well. So Dennis making the interesting play of not setting anything into a known potential Spirit Reaper coming through. I guess maybe really wanting to protect one of the 2 cards in their hand, but this is just going to be a coin flip if that's the case to see if Spirit Reaper hits something good. And you hit a Tribe Infecting Virus. Cool. Alright, so we know the other card in hand is a giant Trunade there. I presume Dennis was trying to keep their tribe safe by not setting the Trunade, so that way Tribe could answer the Spirit Reaper, for example. But unfortunately losing that coin flip, and like I said, pretty bad spot here regardless of what happens. You should definitely take 300 damage, though, although probably doesn't matter. Matryoshka checking that, at least. That's is going to go set a back row pass, but yeah, Matryoshka really looking good here. Going to play an upstart, and now it's just about finding the damage, really. Normal summon Dekoichi, not even going to bother going for set Dekoichi. Just wants to get in maximum damage, 1700 turn, ain't too bad. Spirit Reaper can rip out the last card as well. We've got Call the Haunted out of Dennis here, though, to potentially block some of this stuff. But we got Call on Demok, which is pretty strong. Will that resolve? Gonna grab that Pot of Greed. Matryoshka saying, yeah, okay, that's fine. No out to it. And yeah, so Dennis able to achieve a Dark Magician of Chaos on the board, grabbing Pot of Greed. So kind of a last gasp here. You're still down 1 million cards. But if you're gonna make a comeback, it's probably gonna be through Demok grabbing Pot of Greed at this point. So not out of it just yet. Let's see. Dennis gonna play that Pot of Greed, of course. Thinking there because this does play into Trap Dust Shoot, which is something to worry about. But you didn't see any in Matryoshka's hand before, so you're probably not gonna want to play around it too heavily. Matryoshka playing some nice prio pass games there though. And Dennis here, we're gonna go Premature Burial with that Giant Trunade that we know in hand as well is pretty nice. So we can go Premature on probably Zaborg or Premature on Tribe to clear out the Spirit Reaper would be nice as well. Oh, we're gonna go Premature for the Mystic Tomato? Are we gonna go for a little bit of creature swap shenanigans potentially? Let's see. Matryoshka is gonna think. Not gonna use anything. We're gonna get Giant Trunade here. Now that the Torrential Tribute window has closed. So it's gonna completely remove all of Matryoshka's back row. And is Dennis gonna go for like a game shot here potentially? You can go Premature for Tribe, blow up the opponent's board, attack in for. Oh, okay. This could be cool. This could be cool. We could have lethal fun here. Ooh, Book of Moon out of Matryoshka is actually really nice to kind of put a stop in the tracks though. What do you want to book here? You could book your Dekoichi to maybe have it cycle for a card, which would have made you more likely to go for that summon Dekoichi play last turn anyway, so maybe this was the plan all along. Booking Demok is kind of nice, just to prevent them from attacking. Booking your Reaper could be good to like play around Tribe as well. We're gonna just use it on the Dekoichi though, which I think is fine. Try and go for the cycle. I guess not super worried about the potential for Dennis to go for game here. Although you do have Premature. I guess this also kind of plays around Premature for Tribe because now they can't blow up the Dekoichi. And Dekoichi will be in defense position for big damage to block some big damage. Grenade will resolve though. Demok will go and wait, that's not how that works, right? Premature would just go to hand and Demok stays on the field. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, it's when this card is destroyed, destroy the equip monster, not when this card leaves the field, destroy the equip monster. So that's the Premature Trunade combo is good because you keep the monster that's prematured when you Trunade it, and you can just get another one off the Premature. Matryoshka, I guess, not catching that though. And we're gonna go Tribe, discard Torrential, normal summon Spy, and go for damage this way. And now, unfortunately, this would just have been. Is it just game if you still have Demok on the board? Right, it would be 32, 42. Yeah, this would have been game. Demok should be on the board. And Dennis should be winning right now, unfortunately. So far, they'll just be able to drop the opponent down to 2,300, though. I guess, yeah, it kind of sucks. You got to know how your cards work, right, guys? Matryoshka, what's he going to go? Sook, kill Tribe, sure. And then go BLS, banish the tomato. Premature gets killed. Yeah, I mean, if Dennis doesn't win this game, then it's a bit lame. We're going to get Call on the Tribe. We're going to Torrential everything. Okay. Normal Summon Sinister, get in for 300. Okay. Or Matryoshka will set a back row. We get Knock, attack in for 300. Sure. I'm just fast forwarding through this because Dennis should have won this game. Serpent Priest is going to deal with the Serpent, sure. But the Serpent stuff is still live. Yep, still beat in, sure. Breaker pop the set. Just a Dust Shoot. Breaker kill Tribe, and now you have a monster that can block the Serpent. Ring for game would be good. Or are we just going to go BLS for Tribe? Show me Mirror Force. Ring for game. Okay. Okay, so Dennis is going to win eventually anyway. They should have, yeah, sure. They should have won, and it ends up working out anyway because the BLS comes down and beats it. So we're going to say 2-0 to Dennis Hackman in a GOAT control mirror. A little bit sloppy gameplay from both sides, but it didn't actually end up changing the outcome. And yeah, really cool to see a nice control matchup. You do not, or control mirror match. You don't see that every day. Looks like Dennis had a little bit more of an aggressive build in mind, running stuff like Abyss Soldiers and Mystic Tomatoes, whereas Matryoshka was kind of more of a pure control build, seems like. But yeah, Dennis going to take this one down 2-0. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll catch you all next time.